How's everybody doing? And welcome to the fish room. So in today's video, it's more like the fish house now at this point. I've moved my tanks throughout the entire house. They're in the living room, the dining room, pretty much the whole first floor of the house. I have a little mini tank in my room. This is kind of the way I've always wanted to have it, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited to share with you guys and show you all the changes. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tanks. Starting right here, if you guys remember from the older videos, just to give a little overview of the room. This used to be one of the Guppy aquariums there, and that's the kitchen over there. I think I mentioned I want to take this wall out, put a little island here, kind of full open concept. But I removed this tank, I slid over to the living room. We still have the Angelfish tank here, so the 55-gallon tank. This is a custom stand I built a year or two ago. Over there we have the Oscar and the blue Acara. That's in a 55-gallon tank as well. Over here we have that new stand I showed you guys the other day in a video. If you didn't see that, that was my previous video. Go check that out. But this is a 75-gallon tank, and that's my new Tegu. He's actually right over here. I put him in this little box in the morning. He's just waking up. Some of you guys probably aren't big fans of the reptiles. What's up, buddy? He's pretty cool though. These guys, I want to keep them tame, obviously. So later in the day, after he's sitting under his heat lamp for a few hours, he gets all fired up. So I've been getting him out in the morning, petting him a little bit, let him walk around the house, and I'll put him in this box under some towels when he's just hanging out, just to keep him social, get him out of the tank. Down here we have some 10-gallon tanks, jumping back into the fish. So this tank I'm gonna get closer and show you. Pretty excited about that. I got some new yellow shrimp over there, and I moved one of my new project guppy breeding to the other tank. Right now those two 10-gallon tanks do not have a heater on them, so they're just room temperature, and everyone's doing fine right now. But I did order some heaters online, so I'll post all the links for all the products I'm using down below in the description. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Definitely do it below. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes you a second. Hit that button, hit that bell so you know when I upload videos. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at all the fish. The angelfish are all out and about. I got the lights on for a little bit. I still need to feed these guys, which I might do towards the end of the video. But I always find whenever I do feeding during the videos, the fish don't really act the same way. They're all kind of sculling to the front, or they're all eating algae wafer. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this tank. And these are angelfish I've had for 2 or 3 years now. I had them at my parents' house when they were just little babies. I think I got literally like 75 of them, 50 of them from a person on Craigslist for a couple bucks a piece. I grew them up, I sold them as I went, and then I wanted to keep like a dozen for myself. But these guys pair off and spawn all the time. You can see like next to my hand, they're pretty big. They get a little skittish sometimes. Usually when they're going into breeding, you'll see them get a little darty around the tank. But this is the way, in my opinion, angelfish should be kept. Do like a species tank and get a bunch of them. Angelfish are really cool fish. They've been in the hobby for so long. They're fun to watch them interact and things like that. But if you got 2 or 3 of them or 5 of them, you just never really get that behavior. You're always getting a bully, and then the rest are getting beat up. You're losing one at a time. But if you get literally 12, 15 of them in a 55-gallon tank to like a 90-gallon tank, you can toss some plecos in there. Here's a nice red marble, or like a calico pleco male down here. I got a long fin black female over there. They'll breed here and there, but they don't always do the best with the angelfish. But if you go ahead and pull those babies early enough, you can definitely raise them up. But yeah, you can just watch these guys. They're always competing. You got 2 males here. You're kind of just going at it, probably fighting over a breeding spot. They were just breeding the other day. I had an airline tube coming through the top hole right here. I have these little DIY lids I made, and I drilled each one of them with a hole, because these are really nice, but they are super pain to like lift up and feed every day when you have a light on them. But I like them. They do really well if you drill a hole in there. I also got some plants from another friend. So I'm trying to grow some different plants out of the tanks, just kind of get everything living, growing as natural as possible. I run all my tanks. These are heated, by the way. I got a heater back there. All these tanks are run off of sponge filters. And this tank, I mean, can't get much more clear than that. I clean these tanks probably about once a month. I'll do like a 10-gallon gravel vac water change on them and top them off every once in a while. Literally every 6 months to a year, I clean the sponge filters out, which is not what I'm recommending, but I'm just showing you that once you get a tank balanced and your fish get used to your routine, these guys are really hardy, and that's kind of the way they want to be sometimes. They want that consistency of whatever your routine is what they get used to over time. And that's what really makes the best fish, the best pets. Like, if you check these guys out, they're very responsive. I put my hand up here. Those males are still fighting, but these guys are like, hey, it's breakfast time, they're coming up. But yeah, I really like these angelfish. There's a lot of fun. Once you get those higher numbers, you're still gonna get that kind of like brothers fighting back and forth, but it's gonna be spread out throughout the tank. If you get some plants in there, you get some different areas they can claim. That way they're not always on top of themselves. A 4-foot tank is definitely nicer than having like a tall column tank where you could have like a 47 tall. That can work, but I usually just do like one angelfish in a tank like that, or maybe a pair. But if you're gonna put 3 or 4, you're always gonna have one struggling, so try to get as many as you can in the tank. And they're super fun fish to watch. Just know you're gonna get some of that bickering, you're gonna have them kind of competing. Watch it and have it be cool, not be like, oh, they're always fighting. It's definitely a mindset of the tank of if you go in there thinking they're all gonna be happy and fine all day long, and then you see them bickering, it's kind of stressful to watch, which is the complete opposite point of fish. But if you watch it and it's kind of fascinating, you get to see who's who. You almost can guess what's a male, what's a female off of their behavior, off their body shape. So yeah, just a really cool fish. Angelfish have been around the hobby for so long, and for that reason, they're just a really nice fish. Over here, we got my big Oscar. So he's just a red Oscar. We got the blue Acara over there. And one thing I found, just a lot of this hobbyists who trial and error and experience. What's up, bud? He'll usually follow me around. I'm trying to get him on, he eats algae wafers. Every once in a while I'll feed him some guppies, but mostly algae wafers and then some pelleted food. And then I'll throw a little bit of flake food in there. He doesn't usually mess with it, but that way the Acara gets to eat. And I do have a nice big bristlenose pleco. There he is. That's one of my monsters. He's huge. Probably like a 6-inch, 7-inch fish. But nice big albino. I think it's a blue eye. Yeah, lemon blue eye, male bristlenose pleco. I think I said that wrong for a second. But he's really cool. I got the big Oscar in here. I got the blue Acara. And right now they're just hanging out. Whenever there's food in the tank, the Oscar will chase the Acara away. That's why I have that little cave over there. He can go hide back in there. But as soon as I added this Acara, and I honestly added him because a friend had him eating all his plants and eating all his tetras, because he had them young. But these, I mean, the Acaras, if you guys go back, this is one of my first fish egg layers I ever bred. I mean, just look at that color of that fish. They're beautiful. What's up, Oscar? You want some attention too? The Oscar's a lot of fun too, because you can watch his eyes like change direction. Like he's like the bigger fish, they really are more intelligent and they just have more of a personality, because this fish is more of an individual. I don't think they, like cichlids aren't really schooling out in nature and things like that. Where you have your tetras and your dither fish, they're more predator and prey kind of interaction. All cool fish, but just different ways of looking at them. But yeah, he's just a beautiful fish, and I love keeping cichlids in smaller numbers. Like even just having one in a tank was my goal, to have the Oscar in here. But after a while, what I was trying to get at is the fish literally gets like unstimulated and just like bored. He was sitting in the corner hanging out, wasn't real aggressive eating food. As soon as that car went in there, they like fight, but they're like best friends. So it's a really cool thing. Their color's more both vibrant, they're both more active, their eyes are more alert. There's so many benefits that I found on accident by just trying to help a friend out, put the Acara in there. We're like, we'll see if he eats them or not. And they've both just thrived. So it's really cool to watch this kind of a symbiotic relationship where they both keep each other company. They give themselves something to do throughout the day. They get to compete and claim territory and make Oscar dig out little holes and move plants around. It's what the fish enjoy to do. It keeps them moving and keeps them a lot more fun to watch. So that's been a really cool thing to watch them grow. And who knows what I'll do with the Oscar in the future, where I'm going to put him, because these fish get big. But right now he's thriving in this 55-gallon tank. I do got a 100-gallon stock tank. I'm gonna be setting up here, so maybe he'll go to that, maybe I'll get a bigger tank, who knows, indoor pond, so many options. But real quick, I want to show down here, because I did just change my air pump. I can't remember the gallons, I'll put that in the description as well. This is a little air pump here, I swear it was 30-40 bucks, super cheap, because I was looking at Petco and it was like literally $40 for an air pump that would run like one tank. And then you go somewhere else and it's like $10 for the same thing. So there's a lot of options out there. This one I'm liking. It's a little noisy, but once you get all the air valves plugged in, it's not so bad. It has a little bit of a rattle. But if you were to, there's a little thing on the back here. It's on the other side. There's like a little air tube. So if you want to, I think you can connect this, run the tube a little bit longer, and then you can put this air valve. I'll show you. You see a little valve there? I believe that's the intake. So if you wanted to, you could put this in like a box, or kind of like do some padding, some cushioning, then run that tube out of the box so it can take air in, pump it out. Be careful with what you're doing, make sure nothing's overheating and stuff, but there are ways you can kind of dim the sound on these things. But yeah, that's running out here. I got a little backup bucket here, some sponge filters with an air stone, and then that is literally running, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sponge filters, air stone, and then it also comes around here, and then we'll lead into these tanks, 6, 7 sponge filters. So I mean, to run 7 tanks off of one pump, I mean, you just can't beat that. And I was using, there's a tubing over there, this pump right here that was running everything. But that's something I'm gonna save for the pond, I think. Maybe I'll run it outside and have this giant air bubble. But maybe I'll resell it, who knows. And it's always nice to have leftover fish parts laying around, spare parts for the fish tanks. So I'm sure it won't go to waste, so I'm always using that stuff and moving things around. But this is so much more energy efficient, and it's just a brand new pump, so really happy with that. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at this 10-gallon tank. So this is just a real simple setup, shrimp only. Split these with a friend of mine. She ordered like 100 online and they were like $1 a piece. When she told me that, I was like, I'm in. Like, I don't even know where I'm gonna put them yet, but I'm in. So we split them. I think we split them 3 ways. We got a third person, so we all got like 30 some shrimp, 33 shrimp. And I think they only lost like 1 or 2. I was very surprised when she said that for the price and the number. I was kind of assuming to have a high rate of not survival, but they did super well and I'm super impressed. There's nothing special in here with the water. I took some water. There's one guy right there we can zoom in on. The water in here is just from another tank. My Oscar tank I drained out maybe 2 or 3 gallons. I kind of did a gravel vac, get all that dirty, get that good stuff in there. Put some gravel down, a couple pieces of moss, and then just filled it up with tap water to chlorinate it. There's a cycled sponge filter, so once you have one tank, it is so much easier to set up a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth tank. Because when you get that first tank and you have to go through that growing pain of fish being sick from the store, having parasites, getting ick, cycling the aquarium with the nitrates, the ammonia, all that stuff that can be very frustrating. Once you do it once and it's stable, it's like planting a tree. Once you plant that tree and the roots grow, that thing's not dying real easy. But when you first get it in there, you gotta water it every day. You have to take care of it, you have to keep an eye on it, you have to make sure there's the right lighting. The tree has to adapt to its surroundings. Fish and tanks are the exact same way, and that's why they're so cool and they're so rewarding over time. If you just put in that extra time, that extra research, you watch videos like this, you learn from people with more experience than you, or just learn from other people. I ask people questions all the time. I learn from other people constantly, and it makes stuff fun. It's a cool hobby. It's just really, really fun to do. So once these guys get going here, I get the plants running more. I will get them a heater, even though shrimp are pretty hardy. They're a little hardier than people give them credit for. Depending on the species, how they're bred, how they're raised. And I always speak about that. I like to raise my fish to be hardy and healthy. And also, I'm going for color and things like that. But if you have a beautiful fish that can't withstand nitrates, small changes, little infections, things like that, their immune system's too weak to really thrive. And that's not a fun fish for me either. But this is my favorite guppy pair, and I'm having trouble with these guys having babies, which I don't know why, but look at that female guppy. She's just awesome. So she's almost better looking than the male. And I got this girl from a pet store. She's never had babies, or I think they were eating them in the other tank, or the filter was sucking them up in that 9-gallon fluval. So I did move them to a 10 gallon sponge filter, go back to the old reliable basics that I've thrived off of, and this male is just awesome in my opinion. His tail is not perfect, but let me see if I can get the focus in. His color when he's swimming around and he actually gets in the light, they're still waking up. And they're a little bit cold right now. I can't wait for that heater to come in because the temperature's starting to drop. I am in like Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. So it's starting to get cold outside. We're getting into fall, real in a rush. But that heater's in the mail, be the next day or two, and they'll be just fine. But yeah, that female looks so good under the light. Yesterday, she was starting to have babies. I was trying to catch it on film. Maybe I'll put a little clip of it right here. So if you saw that, you could see like the head of a baby pushing out. I swear that's what it was. I don't think she was going to the bathroom. I don't think I'm that naive. But I was trying to get that on video, and I left for work. I set up a GoPro on her. I didn't want to stress her out too much, but at the same time, I didn't want the male to eat the babies. I was almost hoping that if she was having trouble, if she got moved and almost had a little bit more stress, maybe she would just drop the babies. Whether they were like not alive or not, I didn't want her to get like impacted or anything. You have them like backed up in her because she's never had them that I've seen. So maybe she's having trouble as a first time mom, I guess. But I never used to look into that kind of stuff with the guppies. But this one pair I've been so focused on, and I can breed guppies in my sleep, which we all kind of can. But I swear, whenever we try to breed something, it's the hardest. Whenever we stop trying is when they do it. Because nature always has a way of just figuring out itself. But yeah, these guys look awesome, I think. I'm super happy with this new tank. Hopefully I can get some nice babies out of this. Kind of get my lines split up a little bit, get some new genes in my guppy pool. Because I always am splitting them up a little bit and moving stuff around and line breeding. Trying to get the best traits, but it's always good every couple generations to get a whole new line, and then quarantine them, separate them, get them used to your water, and then you can start crossbreeding. But yeah, I really like these guppies. I hope to get some babies in the future. But let's go ahead and check out the rest of the tanks and all the new stuff, and that's gonna be right over here. So I'm just gonna walk right around the house, show you what everything looks like. So if you come out into the living room, we're gonna fight some glare today, but I got my 55-gallon tank I moved over. We got the 9-gallon saltwater tank. We have another 9-gallon tank, which I put some neon tetras in, a beta fish in, and then, if I don't trip on these cords, we got the final 55-gallon tank. Let me go ahead and move some lights around, see if we can fight this glare a little bit today. But yeah, we'll take a look at these last couple tanks and we'll wrap this video up today. All right, so not perfect, but definitely better. I hit some lights, closed some blinds. Hopefully get a better look. That last tank's still fighting the glare a good bit. But if you guys, I'm sure you all have fish tanks, or you guys ever try sharing photos of your new tanks, your new fish, all the cool stuff, you know the struggle of how hard it is to get a good picture to show someone else what you're so excited about. So hopefully you guys understand my pains, but let's go ahead and take a look at this tank anyways. So this tank I really am happy with right now. This is a 55-gallon tank as well. These tanks are run off of sponge filters, but I did go ahead and just get their own heater, own air pump, own light. So this is something, if you're just doing one tank at home, you're not doing the crazy fish room yet. But this is what I have going on. I'll show you the stuff that's running the tank before I forget, and then we'll go ahead and show you all the fun stuff inside. So I'm running these Tetra pumps. They have two little air valves. I do split them, and then I have another valve on the other side to control the air. So the one that's running two, you need the air dampers, whatever they're called, and then you need a T valve, or you could just run two sponge filters on a 55-gallon tank. That's plenty. We got the heater plugged in back there. I think it's 150 watt. There is a scale. It's like for every gallon you want like 5 watts, I believe it is. And I don't like to run my tank super hot. They fluctuate a little bit from the winter and the summertime. But if you can stick around like 78, I think that's kind of the sweet spot. You can go 80, 82, you can go 76, 75. Like I said, they like consistency. These fish that people used to keep in the hobby starting out, they didn't use heaters half the time. And the fish got used to it. People breed these fish in Florida outside. It gets cold at night, warm during the day. Think about stuff for yourself. Don't always just read a book or read something and be like, oh, they said this pH or this temperature, that's what it has to be. And that's a great base guide. Those people are telling you those numbers off of experience, and over long term, there's a lot of things you can learn from people. But you also need to, every once in a while, just think for yourself and kind of figure out a situation. But that's a little rant. I think that stuff's fun. I think that's what makes the hobby so cool and every tank so personable. Before we dive in the tank, these lights are pretty nice. I think they're like 40, 50 bucks, little LED lights. They have the standard day, and then you have your blues, and you have your off. And then for all of our air pumps, make sure you're doing this. Put check valves on them. I don't know if I can get it up here. That allows air to go in, but water not to go out. Because in the worst case scenario, your power turns off or something happens, you trip a breaker, the air pump stops pumping. Now what happens? You ever do a water change on your tank? You siphon the water out, same thing happens. You're pumping air in that tube, it stops pumping, the water comes up that tube, and if it gets enough momentum over the tank and down, you can drain your entire tank out to the sponge filter height or wherever your air stone is. Forbid you have one of those bottom air stones on the ground, power cuts off, water comes up the tube, has momentum, whoop, over the top. Now all your water's on the floor. And that can happen. It's never happened to me. But once you hear that, go out and buy the $3 whatever check valve it is. Put it in your airline tube. Save you a lot of headache and stress and just worry. Or put your air pump above the tank so it can't come backwards. That's something you can do, but that's not always practical for most people. Let's jump into the inside of the tank now, the fun part. Let's get to the good stuff. So in here we have a variety, and I've been breeding my guppies, like I said before, for hardiness, for their health, for their body shape, and their color. I kind of go in that order. Color usually comes first for most people. It kind of comes last for me, and it is very important. But I need a fish that's strong, healthy, has a good immune system, a good body shape to them. They're not real skinny, like a thin tail, and they can hardly swim. It's not fun for me to watch a fish that's just always struggling. I want to see a fish that can swim through the tank. It can kind of chase around the females, all that good stuff. They're just more enjoyable to watch. And then I'm always working on the tail shape. I'm trying to get them more rounded off, trying to get them longer, just slow and steady. And that's kind of, you can see this male back here. Like, this is what my eye jumps to, this guy right here. I mean, that's like one of the perfect guppies in my eyes. And my eyes always jump to one fish in the tank. Every time I look at a tank, it jumps to the nicest fish or the worst fish. It's kind of one of my flaws, where I usually see 100 nice fish and I find the one bad one. Kind of just train my eyes through breeding over time, that you need to call out those sick ones. You need to find those fish that are going to maybe jeopardize the whole tank with bad genes of breeding, and a male having a crooked back, and then he's going to breed with 10 females. You need to get that fish out as soon as possible for the generations to come. Or if you have a fish that looks sick and it looks like it's parasites or something like that, you have to get it out of the tank. And it's good for those fish to be exposed to those things and they stay healthy. But you don't want to leave that fish in there long term. It's not good for that fish to suffer through that, or for the rest of the fish in the tank. Just some information, some thoughts of mine. All things I'm talking about are just through experience. But look at how many babies are in this tank. So if you back up a little bit, the whole front of the tank is tons and tons of adults. And then the back by those plants, kind of like the island, they have that little bit of safety cushion. They have a lot of plants over there they can hide when they're real young. But as they get bigger, look, there's probably, I don't even know, 100 babies back there that are all 3 weeks old. So I need to go ahead and take some more fish to the pet store, sell some more locally, which I am in the process of trying to do that. I need someone to help post pictures and videos and marketing and talk to customers. So if you guys live in the south of Pittsburgh area and that interests you and you want to work with me and help me sell some fish, definitely let me know. You guys can email me or just make a comment below. I've been trying to get a lot more up to date on my stuff and try to keep up with all the systems and stuff. But yeah, there's so many babies in this tank, so I need to kind of keep my nicest like 6 breeders, sell the rest of the adults, let those babies grow up and just do it all over again. So super cool there. And then what I'm the most excited about in this tank, I've been working on these guys for probably a few months here, really a few years, but I've been breeding these super red bristlenose plecos. So you can see there's probably like a 2-month-old baby and they grow so slow. On top of that cave, we got the male in there, which he's just been breeding away. I need to get another male, or I need to separate him because he's been breeding so much. I don't know how he's gonna keep weight on and stuff. I'm a little worried about him because I got a few females in here and he just won't stop breeding. But let's check out these babies here. So we got some calicos that came out recently and we got some super reds. And these guys, you gotta crush them with food. I made the rookie mistake, and that's why I love making these videos, because I can go back and I can watch my own stuff. And you can do something for a while and it gets to become easy, then you forget what you did, and then you can go back and figure it out. But look, I got some babies up here on the log. And these guys are starting to get past that kind of that gray area where it's like, okay, cool, I got eggs, I got babies, are they gonna live? The reds are a little bit weaker of a strain sometimes, so I like to mix them up with some different things. That's why I'm trying to get some calicos, some red marbles. There's a really nice marble one on the log there, and it's really hard to focus with all the guppies always wanting food. Here, guys, come up here. Come on up here. They like to follow my hand. Super fun to watch. It's like you're like the Evan Almighty when you have all these fish and they're all following you around. Now they leave us alone down here. We can check out the pleco. There he is. All right, so that's a nice red marble or calico. There's so many names for this stuff. And it really is just a name that you're putting on a fish that has a certain trait to help people with selling and buying. So it's really cool. I like all that kind of stuff. It's fascinating. You have to know it. But there's sometimes more than one name for one type of fish. And there's a lot of different ways of saying the same thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with the babies in this tank. So we got them breeding. You have to crush them with food is what I was trying to say. I've been giving this tank 3 algae wafers morning and night. And whenever I had maybe 3 adults, I was feeding like 1 algae wafer, half a wafer once a day. And then they would breed and I'd get babies and then I'd put 1 wafer in there. And then they would just all of a sudden one day be like, oh, they're in there somewhere, I'm sure they are. And I can't find any. And they would just like disappear. So I started feeding heavier, and what do you know? I started having more success, more babies. Things that are common sense, you're like, whoa, you have 100 baby fish in there, you have to feed more. And I just kind of wasn't doing it because I thought like the wafer would be there and those tons. Another thing I messed up with is I had a ton of snails in here. So I literally probably caught 100 snails out of here. I put them in the Oscar tank thinking he wouldn't eat them. And if he did, I didn't really care. He ate like every single one of them like in a hurry. Throughout the day or so. I threw them in there, didn't even really watch them. But you see these snails are creeping back up and I kind of like them. They're cool little snails, but they get on that food, they cover it up and the babies never get to it. So I'm about to have to do another run of pulling some snails out of this tank. But yeah, make sure you don't have something else eating the food. Let's look at the guppies. Let's not fight the view of them trying to get in the way. Let's just enjoy the guppies. Make sure you're feeding those fish heavy. I'll post the food I use down below. I use these algae wafers. I buy them in like 5 pounds at a time because I go through like probably 15 of them a day. I throw like 8 of them in that tank. I throw like 6 or 8 in that tank down there. This tank gets 3. The Oscar gets 1 or 2. The Angelfish tank gets 1. So if you're doing it at the pet store and you're buying a $5, $8 bag of algae wafers, I go through that in like a morning and a night, maybe 2 days. That's ridiculous. I'd spend $500 a month on food. So find out foods to feed your fish, find out those little hacks. That's why I like sharing this stuff, all my experience, all the things I've learned over time. Guppy food, I buy it maybe every 8 months, 6 months, and I'll buy $80 worth of it. I get 5 pounds of it. Sometimes I'll get a pounder or 2, sometimes I'll get 5 pounds. I don't think I've ever done the 10 pounder. But then when I go to customers' houses, I'll bring some food there. Maybe charge them $5 for the food. If you do it right, over time, I'm kind of feeding my fish for free, which is a huge expense. You could be buying frozen food, all this stuff, and spending 40 bucks a month, and you're trying to breed fish for profit. Then you go to sell them after 3 months of growing out the babies, you get 100 bucks. You're like, well, that barely covered the cost of my food, let alone the electric bill and all the time. Most of the time we do this because we enjoy it. We're not always trying to breed for profit, but if you can, I mean, it's a lot more enjoyable if you're not always pulling out of your savings to keep your hobbies alive. You can make your hobbies kind of pay for themselves. I think that's so cool. Makes it a lot more enjoyable, less stressful. But let's jump over this 9-gallon tank. So I pulled those 2 guppies out of here. I threw some neon tetras in here. I think I posted on my Instagram page. If you want to check it out, they looked awesome for about a couple days, and then I started losing them here and there. I did get them at Petco, and the guy that caught them, I offered to help catch them because he did not seem very enthusiastic about catching the fish, or like he knew what he was doing. And I could have caught them all in 1 net full. I wanted a dozen fish. It was like buy 3, get 1 free. So I'm like, okay, I'll buy 9, I'll get 12. And I swear if I went in there with 2 nets, I could have just put 1 in the corner, got the other net, pushed them around the tank. They would all swim in there, scoot them out gently, put them in the bucket, or just have the bucket in there, corral them into that, done, piece of cake. Catching these fish, if you go in there and you chase them around, you stress these fish out, you catch 1 at a time, I almost can guarantee they're gonna die when you go home, especially neon tetras. They'll play like dead in the bag, they'll fall on their sides, and they can come back from it. But it's so much harder on the fish than it has to be. It's just so much harder. And that's just lack of experience. And I don't blame anyone. People aren't trained very well at those stores. They're not doing their passion job. But I think for our sake as the fish enthusiasts and fish owners, we need to educate people and kind of just be more experienced, take more pride in the fish that we have in here. But let me throw some food in here because I do have a really cool red betta fish in here. Jumping back to what I got like a dozen neons, which I've lost a bunch. I've been catching them and putting in a bag in the freezer. I'm gonna go back on my 7-day thing and go back and get some more. Hopefully someone else is working. But yeah, I was trying to offer to catch the fish. It was like, I can't go to the store sometimes because it's so hard to watch them catch the fish. That's why if you can go to a nice family-owned store, someone who knows what they're doing, they have experience, they have a little bit of care and passion in catching the fish. They're not gonna sell you sick fish, hopefully. That stuff goes a long way. But let's get this betta fish out of here. I want you to see him, he's really cool. All right, so I got my food here, and I like these little containers I buy. You just get them at like Giant Eagle or something for like cereal or whatever, and I use them all for fish food. I have like 5 of them. But I see the betta fish. He's hiding in the back. I can see his eye. He's sleeping in a plant. But let's see if we can't entice him to swim out for us with a little bit of food. Because I cannot get that close and find him. But I am gonna get some more neons in here. It's one of those things, guys. Don't give up on the tank. You're gonna have some losses. It's part of the process. Don't give up on it. But let's see if he smells that food and he comes on out. Because I can see him in the very back of the tank, just chilling out. I did put that little hut in there, that little whiskey barrel. One of those things is very nice for betta fish. They do fight that stream sometimes. They don't like having that fast current. Which is why I really think they do better without a filter or just a sponge filter. Let's just zoom in on him. He was out just yesterday. You can see his little eyeball. There he is, right in the middle of the screen. So he is in there. I don't know, he just want to come out right now. I'm not really sure why. I'm not going to go spook him out if he's taking a little nap. Betta fish do it. They literally lay on the bottom. I don't know if you can see his eyeball. It's right in the middle of the screen. It's not very clear. Let's try going HD on him. A little better. You can see his face there. But hopefully he does well. I did just get the basic common veiled betta fish. Yeah, that's a lot better. I don't know why I was doing it the whole time. But we'll jump over to the clownfish and we'll go HD on that one. Yeah, the veiled betta fish, they're like $4. They're they've been around for so much longer. I think they do better. Every time I buy my $20 betta fish, I never have good luck. But I love these guys. What's up, buddy? They're really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and feed them. I'm getting them to eat food out of my fingers. It's so cool. Make sure you wash your hands first or wipe them off. But get in there and hold the food in your fingers and have the fish take it out. Do that with the Oscar now too, with algae wafers. Maybe I'll do that at the end of this video. But it's so much fun to feed the fish when you actually get your hands in there and you have them eating out of the palm of your hand. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and feed these guys, see if they'll do it for me. This guy's a little bully, I swear. He picks on his, she picks on his boyfriend all the time. The female is the larger one in clownfish, and they are able to change gender. So if you have two fish in there, one's gonna get big, one's gonna get small. And then if you buy two that are big or two that are small that are adults, they will actually change, kind of like a survival instinct, which is super fascinating. Let's go ahead and feed these guys, and then we'll start to wrap this video up. And these guys will eat just that flake food I feed the guppies. They also eat pellets, but I like the flakes, it's more fun to feed. And if you just read the ingredients on this food, a lot of it's very similar. So don't always get too picky on the types of food you're feeding. But let's go ahead and get a pinch of this here. And these are those fluval 9-gallon tanks. I'm a big fan of it. This tank was super easy to set up. You buy the live sand, you buy the rock, you buy the tank, the heater, and you get the pre-mixed water, get the tank set, put fish in the next day. I swear that's what I did. And then you just gotta feed small until the tank gets cycled. But here we go. Come on, guys. There he goes. The big one always takes it, and the little one has to wait back for the scraps. I try to go over and feed them, but who knows, the more I do this, maybe they'll start to get a little bit better at it. And sometimes they'll actually nibble on your finger and stuff. It's pretty fun. Come on, I got you. Don't be afraid to talk to your fish. They get more social the more you do. I always thought people were crazy for saying that, but I swear they do. They're pretty cool. Because they're our pets. They are. So, yeah, these guys are awesome. You can't beat just the standard clownfish. These guys are like $30 each. I got 2 fish in here for $60. The tank costs almost the same as everything else. And instead of buying all the chemicals to mix all the primer and all that stuff, I just bought the pre-mixed water for like 25 bucks for every 5 gallons. So I got 2 of those. I swear this costs almost the same as fresh water. If I were to throw 10 neon tetras in here for $30, $40, $50, depending where you're buying them, and they all died, and I did it again, and I did it again, and they finally lived. Now I have a freshwater planted tank, and planted tanks, the substrate in the plants, I swear, this tank probably cost me more than this tank right here. And this is something that's always been a dream of mine. Oh, I want to have saltwater. I want to do this. Like, oh, someone else can. Like, I could do it for someone else. Like, I'll clean people's tanks that have saltwater. I'm like, oh, not for me. I can't afford that. It's too much. It's really not that bad. You can do it smart. There are ways to do it. So if I can inspire someone today to go out and get their first saltwater aquarium, that would be awesome. If you want to use my link below, that's cool. But if not, take the things you've learned from me and other people and go ahead and just bite the bullet and just go buy a 9-gallon. Don't go buy a 55-gallon tank and learn how to do plumbing for the first time. Learn how to treat the water, do all of these things. No, go buy a 9-gallon tank, buy some live sand in a bag, buy the water that's pre-mixed, it's already set. You don't even have to test the pH, the salinity, anything. It's already done for you. You can do it for peace of mind, but you don't have to. And then I like letting the algae grow. I'll go in there and just kind of stir it up a little bit. This tank will clear up after it runs through the filter pretty quick. And then you're just kind of cleaning your filters in tank water and topping it off. Get some RO water from your store if they pre-mix it. You only need like a gallon. This stuff lasts forever. In this enclosed tank, I put a little piece of tape over here. It gets hardly any evaporation. It's super consistent. I've done like 2 water changes on this tank since I set it up, and it's been months. Probably over 6 months. I test the water. The nitrates don't get high. I feed them very minimal. What I just fed them today is probably the most I feed them. Starting them off, I give them 1 or 2 pellets a day. If they don't eat it, I net it out, or I don't feed them the next day. A hungry fish is a healthy and a happy fish. So don't overthink these things. Take the leap of faith. Go ahead and do it. It's not that hard. Throw this in your fish room, or in your bedroom, or in the kitchen. Everybody that comes to your house is gonna love this tank. And that's what it's all about, having fun in your hobbies and sharing your hobbies. Last but not least, let's look at this 55-gallon tank. And I gotta show off my little line photo. I love that thing. I just got that in the mail the other day. Yeah, there's some cool pictures in your fish tank rooms or in your house. It definitely is cool, little inspirational stuff. And that's what I was just talking about, just being inspired, enjoying your hobbies, enjoying these fish. They really just can bring so much joy to a room and to you and others. And that's what, if I can teach people stuff and inspire others, that's what's gonna really motivate me to make these videos. That's things that fish have done so much for me. I want them to do more for other people as well. So that gets me more fired up to do these videos and show you guys my fish than anything. And I don't don't want to hide that from you guys. That's the reason I do this stuff, for education, keep myself motivated in these videos and in my fish tanks and in my hobby. Once you share this stuff with other people, you get so much out of it, they get so much out of it, and that's what it's all about. But look at these guppies. I have this little island here from the flow of the air pump pumping up there, and this is exactly where I feed. So I have that little hole up top, feed right there. It doesn't get stuck on all the duckweed, so you actually can get to it. Let's go ahead and feed these guys. That's how we'll finish this video up, with a massive feeding. I did move this light up so we get better light. But yeah, these tanks, I am not shy on food. I feed them so much. And you have to. Look how many guppies we have in there. The inch per gallon rule does not apply in the household here. There's probably, I have no idea, 150, 200 adult guppies in this tank, and there's probably another 75 babies, plus probably 200 plecos in here. I have probably 50 adult plecos in here, and I think I pulled out a dead fish in this tank. Maybe never. I don't know. It's been at least 3 or 4 months. Maybe every once in a while I'll pull out like an old female that is literally just too old. This tank is so dense of plants. I do my water changes. I feed so heavy. It has such a good seeded gravel bed in this tank where it's literally like a pond. This thing is so balanced, and it's dirty. It really is, but the fish just love it. I'm sure I may lose some fish in the moss and they might die back there if they go back and they're just sick. But literally the plants like eat them, and the tank just kind of full circle of life. This tank is so much fun, and I didn't even realize how many guppies I had in this tank right now. That's one of those things I like about taking videos. Makes me get closer and actually look at my tanks a little bit more. And there's so many different colors in this tank. You can pick any color you can think of a guppy, and I have it. I have some like albinos, I have some blues, I have some yellows, I have some reds, I have some delta tails, I have some short tails, I have some fat bodies, some skinny bodies. It is just so diverse. There's cobra patterns, there's yellow there's half blacks, there's like the marbled leopard patterns, and I know these guys do not love the camera. That's a little bit better. I'm gonna toss them on the stand so I'm not moving around so much. But yeah, look at this. I got a red marble pleco on the front with the guppies. There's so many different kinds in here. I could just look in this tank in one spot and just see what keeps coming across my eye, and keep finding a fish. I'm like, oh, that's my favorite. That's my new favorite. Or I like to find one fish and just follow them around and see where that one fish goes for a while. It's so much fun to get into these tanks and just really look close at them. I know this video is getting long though. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you've made it this far into the video, definitely comment below. Let me know what tank you have, what type of fish you like to keep. If you made it this far, what was your favorite tank today? Something you liked, something you didn't like, maybe something I could do better. I know my recording is not always the best. I try to make them fast and easy and just show all the stuff that I want to show without all the extra bells and whistles, but sometimes you need that stuff. So if you guys think I need to do more things, or if you live in the area and you want to help me do those things, I am looking to kind of partner up with some people and do things together. I'm trying to do a fish room tour with my friend Lewis on Cichletscape. So I'm going to be touring his fish tanks and have him come here and tour mine, help inspire each other and just kind of show our stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let's look at the plecos on the bottom of the tank, and then I'm gonna end this video. So if we scoot on down here, and there are so many plecos in this tank. I need to sell fish. That's the hardest part for me. Starting off, the hardest part is breeding and selling, being able to sell fish. Once you have the fish and you get busy and you have all these things going on with work and life, the hardest part for me now is selling the fish. Not because people don't want them, not because I overprice them. I sell them probably for under what I should half the time, but it's just hard to get around to doing it, just kind of taking that initiative and doing it. But look, I got long fins in here, I got lemon blue eyes, I have albinos, I have red marbles, or like calicos in all different grades. I have lighter ones, I have darker ones. There are some super reds in here, not as many, but there are some. And these guys, I really like these, and they don't look great in my tanks because I have all these plants that are so dark, but these red marbles and these calicos are by far one of my favorite fish. And my favorite thing about them is that they came up not on accident, but they came through 3 generations of breeding. So that was like a 2-year project, 2.5-year project of breeding plecos. And I got this color I did not buy. So I got to create my own strain, and it's super cool, and I need to really focus in on it and just keep doing it. And it keeps diversifying the bloodline and the strains. They get stronger and hardier. I had a video talking about them. There's a real nice medium one there. But I bred a long fin albino male to a short fin female super red. They gave me all commons and then maybe 1 or 2 long fins out of like the 50. And then I grew them up, I sold a few, I kept some that I liked, and I bred them back to each other, kind of that fish right there in the middle. They started to get a little bit of like lemon, like white tips. So that's like, oh, that's really cool, I need a breed for that. So I bred them back to each other. They gave me more commons and maybe 50% were long fins. And then I bred them back again. And meanwhile, this is like 9 months to grow a pleco from baby to breeder size. 9 months to a year at least. These fish grow slow. Some people say it's not that hard, and it's not that hard, but it takes time. It's like anything in life. But, oh, here's a real nice, look at this. Nice long fin. There's 2 of them side by side. And those are the fish I was getting after 1 or 2 generations of breeding. That I bought an albino and a super red. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get reds, albinos, this is gonna be great. They bred like 1 or 2 times and the female died, and then all I was left with was the male and the babies. So I sold some of the babies after 3 months, I kept the rest. So 9 months later, I bred them together. So this is my F1 or F2. That's just generation stuff, it's all breeding terms. I bred them together, and I think I had 2 standard fins, maybe 1 long fin, 1 standard fin. I don't know if I had any long fins that first time around. And then when they bred, I got like 30% or 50% long fin commons, and then 50% just commons. And I grew them up again. I almost think I forgot at this point. And I bred, I don't know if it was 2 long fins or if it was a long fin and short fin, because you're not supposed to breed long fin to long fin for too many generations, or maybe at all. But try it out, see what happens. I've bred them before. I breed them in colonies, so whatever happens, happens sometimes. But after that, I had a couple calicos show up, and I'm like, what are these? It was the coolest thing. I had like reds popping out of blackfish, and I had albinos. That's where I got all of my strains. They came out in the 3rd generation. So now I'm thinking about it, I got a couple reds, I got a bunch of commons, I got some albinos. So you can imagine me looking in there and seeing, here, I'll move the camera over here to this side so you can see some new stuff. But imagine me seeing 3 or 4 different types of fish all come out of one batch. My mind was blown. I didn't know it was even a thing. And I worked at a pet store. I worked with people that were breeding fish, but there's just still not that much information out there at the time. And this was years ago. I've been breeding bristlenose plecos now for maybe 6 years. A long time for me, but yeah. So I got reds, commons, albinos, and I got short fins and long fins all in one batch. Meanwhile, this is a 2-year project. It almost happened on accident. After a while, you just forget your lines and stuff. And me backtracking, because I do record everything, or at least write on the tanks, like in that white Sharpie. Those paint markers, those are great for marking tanks, by the way. Yeah, that's how it all kind of happened. I don't even know how I got started on this topic, but yeah, I get so excited about that stuff. And that's this whole tank. 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, of me keeping and selling fish and breeding for certain traits. I think that's when I started getting my lemon blue eyes. No, I got those on a different purchase, but I grew them up and I eventually mixed them into that line. So now I'm telling you, some of my fish, if you ever buy my fish and you breed them, I'm always like, tell me what you get, because you really don't know half the time. And sometimes people want to breed true and they get a certain thing, they want this certain color. And recessive genes still will work. So if I breed 2 fish that look similar, they're probably going to give you babies that look similar, because that's the most dominant gene. But sometimes when you're crossbreeding, you get a little bit of everything, and that's what makes the line so much stronger, makes them hardier. And then also when you're selling fish, it's cool because you're not just selling 100 albino plecos and they're like, oh, I'll take 10 or 12. You're only getting 20 of them, and you're getting 20 reds, and you're getting 20 blacks. Now that's what people want. That's how people order fish. So if you're doing it small scale, you only can afford, or you only have space for 1 breeding pair, diversify it, mix them up. But yeah, that's my little pleco rant. And I didn't even think about that till I started showing you guys. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I think this video has gone on long enough though. Really appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you had as much fun watching as I had making it. Go below, like the button if you like the video, comment like I said. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, check out the channel, check out my old videos. I have like 180 videos in my fish playlist. So you can go watch that stuff for days if you want to, or not, but toss on the playlist, throw it on the TV, throw it on your phone, throw it on your laptop. I've done so many different things with the fish tanks. I've learned so much. I love sharing it with you guys. It's been really fun for me. I'm excited to get back into my videos because I have all this new stuff going on. I always share things when I have something new going on. I don't always just show videos to show videos, but whenever I'm excited about something, I have something new going on, and right now I do. I'm really excited about this. I have plans for outside, for a pond, breeding projects, new tanks. I want to start sharing customers' aquariums on this channel because I do have a fish cleaning business I have, so Bianco's School of Fish. If you want to check me out, I'm starting to market a little bit better. I've been doing it for years, but now I got an LLC, I'm official and everything. So now I'm really starting to promote that business, work on it, share my passion and love for fish and the aquariums. Brightens up a room. It's a conversation piece. Fish have so many benefits. Where people nowadays, they're all on their phone. They're stuck on a screen. Don't look at a screen. Look at a piece of glass that's got some fish behind it. It'll enhance your life. It'll enhance the people around you. It's really enjoyable. It's something I'm passionate about. So go ahead, guys. Get in your fish tank later tonight. Play around with the fish. Have some fun. Re-enjoy and relearn that passion you have for pets and animals. And that's what it's all about, like I keep saying. But thanks again, guys. If you made it to the end, comment below, check out the description, check out those links. I had fun making this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys next time.